Hi guys, it's Sam from the Blues Focus podcast, just giving you a rundown of all things Birmingham ahead of the first round of the Carabao Cup against Sheffield United. On our window so far, it's been a very good window for Birmingham. I think that change in attitude between being a League One team and a Championship team, we've made some statement signings such as Demarai Gray rejoining after 9.5 years away from Birmingham. Kyogo Furuhashi, really promising striker, scored a lot of goals in Celtic and didn't quite go his way at Rennes, but we're hoping that at Birmingham the tide can turn for him. And other transfers include Tommy Doyle in the midfield, someone that Sheffield United fans know well from his spell there, and I feel like that's a real statement signing because he's played in the Premier League, a lot of appearances for Wolves, obviously came through the system at Man City, and now he finds himself in a Birmingham City shirt. And Bright Asai Samuel, another winger who I think is going to show a lot of promise, played under Jose Mourinho at Fenerbahce and actually could turn out to be a right back, so I feel like he covers a few slots in the team. So yeah, some really promising transfer business and really looking forward to seeing how they gel with the team. Chris Davis has been a great manager for us in a time where beforehand, I think the season that we got relegated to the Championship, there was 5 different managers, so we just needed a lot of stability at the club, and I really feel like Chris Davis has brought that to Birmingham, with his style of play and the way that he likes to operate. We've seen now with the Built in Birmingham documentary, the way that he speaks to the players, and yeah, you just want to run through a brick wall for that guy because the way that he sort of analyses situations and gets players up for games, second to none. And I really feel like the mindset in the Championship helped us get over the line in record-breaking fashion, and now we've got that momentum going into the Championship. It wouldn't surprise me next season if there is a lot of interest around Chris Davis because he's certainly back in the transfer window, going to look to play similar football to what we did in League One, but I imagine that Chris Davis will have to compromise his style quite a bit. So apparently he's probably going to be a bit less of the ball and a bit more counter-attacking football, but if it gets points on the board, I really don't mind. And yeah, Chris Davis, a really promising young manager. In terms of our formation, for a lot of last season it was a 4-2-3-1 with the back four more or less staying the same, with Alex Cochrane, Christophe Clara, Ben Davis and Ethan Laird, with Ryan Alsop in goal. 3 of those 5 are expected to stay in the team, with Alsop, Cochrane and Clara pretty much nailed on. But as for the other centre-back position and right-back, it looks like Asai Samuel could be the right-back moving forward, and also Phil Neumann, who he signed on a pre-contract deal from Hanover, coming in at centre-back instead of Ben Davis, who is at Rangers, as we got him originally on loan, and doesn't look like at the moment he's going to be returning. And then the 2 holding midfielders, Paik and Iwata, I imagine that's going to stay unchanged. They both bring something quite different, with Paik being more composed on the ball and Iwata just being able to produce a rabbit from the hat, going further forward and scoring from 25-30 yards. I'm sure you guys have seen the goal that he scored in the FA Cup against Newcastle, an absolute rocket into the top corner. So the 3 in front of the striker position, I mean, you've got interchangeable really, because Jay Stansfield up front can drop a little bit deeper than the 3 go forward. So Keshi Anderson is one of those guys that supports Stansfield, really come into his own last season because there was a few question marks in the Championship as to whether he's going to be good enough for the project moving forward, but I certainly think he's been good enough. His work rate is amazing, still a little bit to be desired going forward, but he's certainly getting better at decision making, and they've certainly got a future at Birmingham City. And that sort of position in the middle behind the striker, it's up for grabs because you've got Tommy Doyle, who I think can play a bit further forward. There's Willem Willemsen, who is a player that showed 2 different veins of form last season, where before his injury in November he was fantastic, but when he came back from his injury wasn't quite the same player. So I feel like that number 10 position is really up for grabs. And then on the right, we've experimented with a few different options during pre-season. There's been Demarai Gray that's played out there, Zaid Betica, who's a youngster that's coming through the academy, could feature out there as well. And it wouldn't surprise me as well to see maybe Kyogo drift out wide. So yeah, that right wing position is up for grabs. And up front, it looks nailed on to be Jay Stansfield, especially with Alfie May leaving for Huddersfield Town. So that position up front is his, and it's a 4-2-3-1 shape. Players to look out for, this follows on quite nicely from the last question, I'd say. Jay Stansfield up front, our top goal scorer of last season. The £20 million man, really good going forward, especially. I feel like he's grown as a player as well because of the England under-21s camp, where he won there and he played a good role in the semi-finals and final because he didn't originally start in the team, grew into the tournament and found himself starting for Lee Carsley up front in the semi-final and final. So someone with, I suppose, a point to prove in the championship because he was part of that relegation side, but he was certainly the best player in that season that he went down. So Stansfield is one to look out for. I'd also say Tomoki Iwata is someone to look out for as well. I don't know whether he'll feature in the Cup, but I imagine that he will get some minutes either off the bench or starting. It's going to be one of those two. And as I said earlier, he can produce a rabbit out of the hat with some phenomenal strikes from distance. So if you don't close him down, he's likely going to have a pop at goal. And centre-back wise, I'm trying to think of players that could come into the team for a Cup fixture. And it could very well be Ethan Laird, because there is that hotly contested competition at right back between Asai Samuel and Ethan Laird. And there was many points last season where Laird almost played as a right winger, even though he was a right back, because we had so much of the ball and there wasn't really that risk of a counter-attack in League One because there were so many men behind the ball for the other team. But I suppose with Sheffield United it could be different, but Ethan Laird always offers an attacking threat. Areas I'm concerned about, I would say potentially with the fullbacks. Like they get forward quite a lot, and it could leave space for better wingers in the Championship to be able to exploit them. Alex Cochrane was Mr. Consistent for Birmingham last season, who was the left back, and there was many times where he cut it in sort of as a centre back, and then Ethan Laird could bomb forward. But I'm not sure if that shape is going to work for us in the Championship, because there is so much better opposition, and with Sheffield United being one of those top opposition, down the wings could be where we are exploited. And I imagine because it's a home fixture, we're going to try and go for it as well with more possession, and we're not going to sit back. So if Sheffield United have the pace in behind to get past us, that's where you guys could cause a threat. The game is going to be an interesting one because I don't imagine it will be our full strength 11 in the Cup, and it's probably the same situation for Sheffield United, and there's still a lot of moving pieces when it comes to what is our best starting 11, because we have had a busy transfer window and there's a lot of players that have come through the door and have all got to adjust to each other. So it's still very much lots of moving parts, and as I said, probably the same for Sheffield United with the new manager in charge. And I know at Sheffield United last season there was a lot of loan players, so it's all about replacing them. So I imagine both teams are going to be figuring it out, and I'm going to say it could go to penalties, because it could be a draw 1-1, and then we'll do it on penalties. That's what my guess is at the moment. Sheffield United are a team that do excite me. I think Ruben Selles is a good appointment. I know there's a lot of outside people that will say, oh, he was a manager towards the bottom end of the Championship last season, so why is Sheffield United getting him? But I think all you have to see is his success at Reading, and I say success even though they weren't like a top 6 team. I feel like they were overachieving because of all the stuff that Reading had to negotiate, and how Selles coached his team into being, a really forward-thinking, influential team with the way that they shaped up at the back, and then also going forward as well, getting the best out of what he had. And he looked to play progressive football in a situation where most managers wouldn't, and I feel like with better players at his disposal at Sheffield United, it is going to be a good look for Sheffield United, but it's going to have to take some time, I think. So it may be that Sheffield United do have a slow start, but then grow into the season. But I think they've just got to keep patient with Selles, and I imagine you guys could get in the playoffs again. Maybe you don't like hearing that because of your record in the playoffs, but I'm going to say that, yeah, Sheffield United are going to have a good season and be right within that promotion mix. As I said, I reckon it's going to be a 1-1 game where we do win it on penalties. I'm not exactly convinced that we're going to keep a clean sheet, but I do think we've got enough going forward to cause you problems, hence my 1-1 prediction and a penalty shootout victory. You can find us on social media at Blues Focus. We do lots of different content, whether it be match day vlogs, reactions to games, previews to games, and also written stuff as well that goes up on our website. So across Twitter, it's not even called Twitter anymore, it's X, isn't it? But yeah, Twitter, Instagram, websites, YouTube, we're all on there, Blues Focus. And yeah, I'm going to say Sheffield United in 5th place, and Birmingham, there's a lot of lofty ambitions around the place, especially within the fan base, but I'm going to go with a 7th place finish. I think we'll just miss out on the playoffs. Don't quite maybe have enough experience to get within those top 6 places, but I imagine it's going to be a better season than what Birmingham fans have been used to in the Championship for so long, because obviously we were relegated after 13 consecutive seasons and there was only one finish within the top 6 in those 13 seasons. So there isn't exactly much to aim for in regards to our history in the Championship, but there's a lot of, fresh new voices surrounding Birmingham now, and I think we can really make a go of it this season, but just miss out on the playoffs. So Sheffield United 5th, Birmingham 7th. Thank you guys.